Good afternoon. This is Media Center, Ukraine, Odessa, and we're starting our last work day this week. Our guest is Volodymyr Frolov, Director of the Department of Economic Policy and Strategic Planning of Odessa Military State Administration. Mr. Frolov, could you please share details about the situation and trends of social and economic development of the Odessa region? Good afternoon. I would like to welcome everyone. First, speaking about the current state of Odessa's economy, we can say that despite the war, the recovery process continues successfully. To begin with, I'd like to outline the economic potential of Odessa region. First, industry. The Odessa region, this is more than 30% of Ukraine's juice production, 25% of the country's oil production capacity, and 18% of unrefined oil production. And 70% of the country's winemaking potential. If at the beginning of the martial law it was difficult for enterprises to make any predictions regarding stability and further functioning due to the low supply chains of goods and components for their manufacture, now there is significant improvement in expectations and assessment, and there is favorable conditions. Today, more than 80% of the region's business are operating at 70-100% capacity compared to pre-war levels. In addition, since July 2022, this recovery increased by 5% for economic entities. The production volume of the enterprise for the production of butter, yogurt, cheese, flour, and mixture of fruit and vegetable juices, some sausages and pasta, canned vegetables and fruits increased. Volumes from the production of beef, pork, oil, apple juice, dairy products, bread, and wine decreased. Economic operators in the field of food trade, both chain and small stores, did not stop their activities. They continue their activities. Markets and chain stores of non-food products are fully functioning. There are good results that were demonstrated by the service sector, which has recovered and just has reached the level of 100% today. At the same time, we're considering prospects for the development of Odessa region's industry, namely the processing industry. We need to create products with added value. This applies primarily to cereals and legumes. The development of vegetable growing and horticulture for the creation and efficient functioning of fruit and vegetable processing enterprises is also a priority. For this, there are fertile lands in the region. There is the demand for renting land plots to create the mentioned enterprises. And entrepreneurs from Kherson and Mykolaiv regions have already moved to Odessa region. No enterprise has been officially relocated to Odessa, but we have such examples. This is, for example, production of sun-dried tomatoes. The entrepreneur had a business in the Kherson region, the well-known Chernobyl village, and he moved to Izmail district and started a business in the Odessa region. In Odessa, we also have Mariupol enterprises in gas and in collapse services that work in Odessa and in Izmail respectively. There is a significant number of small entrepreneurs, cafes, private kindergartens, grocery stores, service stations from the Mykolaiv and Kherson regions that work in the newly constructed buildings, thus solving a number of social issues. A range of investment projects are planned for Odessa region, including the industrial park, EcoPort, which will focus on food industry and machine building. And it will be at the level of 8.5 billion hryvnias. Industrial agro-technopark Puchak that will be located in the south of our region. Main types of activity, the food industry and other types of activities. The investments will be approximately at the level of 500 million hryvnias. Since 2023, there are plus 313, this is the absolute growth of individual entrepreneurs, and plus 29 of individual entrepreneurs and 313 plus legal entities. There are small and medium-sized enterprises, including 105,000 individual entrepreneurs, 30,000 small enterprises, and 843 medium-sized businesses. The majority of small and medium-sized business entities are engaged in wholesale and retail trade. And I would like to emphasize, less than half thousand enterprises work in the enterprises. 136,000 of individual entrepreneurs, small-size companies that work in the Odesa region and pay taxes. In January-April 2023, around 6 billion hryvnias were received from small and medium-sized enterprises in the form of taxes, which is plus 1% compared to the corresponding period of the previous year. 32.6 total amount of budget revenue, state budget 3 billion plus 25% compared to the corresponding period of the previous year, and local budget 3 billion plus 16% corresponding to the previous year. The largest amount of income to the budget is generated by enterprises of wholesale and retail trade, industry, agriculture, and the transport. Now about agriculture. Last year in the agro-industrial complex, farms of all categories collected 3 million tons of grain with a grain yield of 26.3 tons per hectare, including 1.7 million tons of wheat. The region took the first place in Ukraine for threshing of grain and leguminous crops. Agricultural enterprises of the region planted winter crops for 616,000 hectares, and as of 18th of May 2023, 212,000 hectares of spring grain and leguminous crops were sown for 2023 harvest. I would like to provide more details about the state program Affordable Loans 579. Today, the active implementation of this program continues. Thanks to this, the business of the region continues to work and develop. Since the beginning of the program, as of today, the number of concluded credit agreements amounted to almost 4,000 units, amounting to over 14 billion hryvnias. The share in the total portfolio increased from 5.7 to 7.1%, and for the first time, we're among the 3 top countries. Despite the fact that businesses are actively participating in the program, a quarterly analysis of the number and amounts of concluded contracts shows there is a decrease. In the fourth quarter in 2022, there were 535 contracts worth 2.5 billion hryvnias, and in the first quarter, 408 in the amount of 2023, 408 amounting to 1.5 billion hryvnias. We have been updating the program to support the development of competitiveness of small and medium-sized enterprises. State banking institutions in the Odesa region have already applied to the regional state administration regarding the restoration of the regional program. And briefly about pricing policy. In January-April 2023, the consumer price index was 104%. In Ukraine, for 100%. Monitoring and analysis of the availability of basic food products in the trade networks of the region indicates that there is sufficient quantity in wide assortment. The price index is 104%, so inflation is only at the level of 4%. Only 4% for consumer goods. Okay, I will provide more details now for every area. However, there was an increase in prices for almost all food products. Thus, in 4 months of 2023, the consumer price index for food products in the region increased by 7.5%. And the biggest growth was in prices of vegetables, plus 45%, fish and fish products, plus 5%, fruit, plus 5%, and bread, prices for bread increased by 1.5%, and the price of sugar also increased. At the same time, the price of sunflower oil decreased by 6% and 0.4% respectively. It should be noted such a positive factor of ensuring that there is an increased number of pigs in Odesa region. Last time we had increase in 2013. As for the transport complex, this is one of the main branches of the economy of Odesa, which immediately after the start of the war experienced a state of shock due to the shutdown of ports, disruption of logistics chains, personal issues, etc. In January-April 2023, 22 million tons of cargo were processed in the ports of Odesa region. This is by 105% more than in 2022. At the same time, thanks to the Grain Initiative, 259 ships with 30 million tons left the ports of Great Odesa with agricultural products heading to Asia, Europe, and Africa. The problems of the transport system associated with the blocking of the Black Sea ports became boosted the development of 10 new ports. Compared to the pre-war period, the total processing of goods in 2022 increased by 3 times, including in the port of Reni 5 times, in Izmail 2.2 times, in the port of Donetsk in 12 times. In the 4 months of 2023, as well in 2022, a significant increase in the activity of Izmailsky, Renitsky, and Donetsk sea trade ports is noted. In addition, it should be noted a significant intensification of investment activity in these ports. The existing transshipment facilities are being updated and new investment projects are being implemented. Unfortunately, the main barrier of Ukrainian products to the international market are the actions of the Russian party in the Joint Coordination Center, which by all available means blocks the inspection of vessels and Bosphorus. The rate of departure of ships from ports, there are 22 ships with agricultural products for exit that are still kept there. And briefly about customs. In 4 months, 2023, only 54% of containers were processed, were cleared by the customs service compared to the corresponding period of the last year. And the amount of payments received by Odesa Customs from customs clearance of containers amounted to 1.6 billion hryvnias. As for privatization, this is a very important issue now. The list of small privatization objects to be privatized in the year of 23 includes unified property complexes of state enterprises, 21 units, the state package of shares of business associations, 1 unit, separate property, 55 units, objects of unfinished construction, reserved objects, 1 unit, objects of social cultural purpose, 7 units. The task of ensuring the receipt of funds from the sale of small privatization objects to the state budgets in 2022 amounted to 370 million hryvnias. In 2023, it already amounts to 1.5 billion hryvnias. In 2022, the state budget received only 31 million hryvnias, which is 8.5 of the implementation of the annual plan. In January-April 23, we've already received 253 million hryvnias. During 2022 and during January-April 2023, 15 auctions for the sale of privatization of objects located in the Odesa region were announced, including 14 successful auctions. And the state budget will receive 734 million hryvnias. In 2023, we plan to have auctions to privatize the following factories: Saratsky, Kotovsky, BP Urozhai companies. As for social and labor relations, wages and employment of the population, according to operational data, as of 1st of May 2023, the salary arrears amount to almost 53 million hryvnias. According to statistics, as of 1st of April 2023, the arrears of the payment of wages amount to almost 56 million hryvnias. And before 2,000 employees, which is by 8.8 million less than compared to the previous year. The total number of debtor enterprises is 31 economic entities, including 10 stand-owned enterprises, 15 non-state enterprises, 6 utility companies. Largest areas of the payment of wages are concentrated in Odesa district enterprises, which is almost 24 million hryvnias. Salary arrears at other areas is the following: Belgrad-Dnistrovsky, 20.7 million, Izmail, almost 8 million, Bolgrad, 1.7 million, Berezivsky, 1.3 million. In Podilsky and Razdelnyansky districts, there is no salary debts. The average monthly salary of full-time employees in the Odesa region in 2022 amount to 11,000 hryvnia. However, due to hostilities, there was a significant reduction in the average monthly number of full-time employees. In 2022, we had almost 500,000 people. Now this amount is only at the level of 420,000. There are effects of mass dismissal of male employees to avoid mobilization. This is facilitated by the big problem with the reservation of conscripts. And the last but not the least, it's the possible opening of the recreation season in Odesa. The Odesa State Regional Administration believes that there should be a complex of activities to ensure mental and physical health of people. Around 50 million of people in Ukraine after the end of the war will have such problems and will need both physical and mental recovery. And of course, when it comes to physical recovery, this includes sunbathing for people to receive vitamin D3 that boosts immunity against COVID-19, but we know that COVID has no more the pandemic statute. That's it from my side. I'm ready to answer your questions. I have the following question. 136 entities. Could you compare this number with the number before the full-scale invasion as of 2021? And what are the changes in the demographics of the region? Because 136,000 economic entities, 136,000. Yes, but as for the population, we understand that around 15–20% of the population have left the Odesa region, but we have a lot of IDPs. And at the moment, if I'm not mistaken, around 140–150,000 of IDPs starting from the 24th of February. But if we calculate from the 2014, this is more than 220,000. But these were the numbers of people who arrived to Odesa region, but it is now unknown whether they left Odesa region. Now in Odesa, 70 or 90,000 IDPs in the city of Odesa only. I would like to make a small example. The self-government bodies in one of the rayons of Odesa region examined the situation, and they found out that 1 from 3 persons had left that rayon or district. Perhaps they even left the region. We cannot calculate precise numbers, unfortunately. As for the demographics, we understand that 15–20% of the population have left the region. First, there was the lack of human resources, but now the situation has been gradually improving. Economic operators every day recover, and the percentage of enterprises is stable. You mean if to compare the situation before the 24th of February and now? What percentage? Percentage from the population? No, the percentage of the operative enterprises. I think that the population decreased by 10%. Before the 24th of February, we also had 136,000 entities. Yes, more or less so. Not so many enterprises officially closed through the official procedure. We do understand, and I've mentioned in my report, that there are around 80% of businesses, of the general number of businesses that we had before the full-scale invasion. I don't have any more questions. Thank you. I hope that everyone was able to learn about important indicators of the Odesa region. Thank you very much for the briefing. And the next briefing will take place in 40 minutes. And this will be also the briefing of the Odesa Military Regional Administration, and it will be dedicated to the educational sector in the Odesa region. Please stay tuned.